Hello, Catholic Replies students. This is Mrs. Politsky, and I have your notes for Chapter 4, Section 1, A Brief History of Islam. And what we're going to take a look at is what Muslims believe and a little bit about the divisions within the religion of Islam as well. So, for Muslims, they believe that Islam has always existed, beginning with Adam being the first man. All creation is Muslim, according to Muslims, and all that Allah created naturally submits to his divine will. God's message has been revealed since the time of Adam, not only to the Jews, but to Christians through prophets, and revealed not only through the Torah, but also through the Gospels. Muhammad, he was born in Mecca around the year 570 and orphaned as a child. And as an orphan, he traveled with some of the different caravans that were passing through parts of Arabia. He received his first revelation when the angel Gabriel instructed him to be a messenger of Allah. And this happens around the year 610. So he was an adult by all means. And as a result of that, he talks a little bit about, his revelations, and that for the most part kind of makes enemies. And so he's forced to flee, and he moves to Medina around the year of 622. And this was kind of like his escape. When he gets to Medina, the people there are really interested in what he has to say, and he kind of gains a following from the people there. He's able to raise an army, and eventually he returns to Mecca and he defeats the Arabs. And once he's defeated the people in Mecca, he purifies what is known as the Kaaba, which is this building that you see right here, probably once used for pagan sacrifices and such. And he purifies this now for the purpose of worshiping Allah. He dies in the year 632, and we'll talk a little bit more about what happens with that. So, after Muhammad, there are going to be some new leaders, and these are known as caliphs. And so, we're going to talk about the first four caliphs because that kind of sets the tone for what's going to happen when you talk about the division of Islam. So, a caliph, for the most part, is an Islamic leader regarded as the successor to Muhammad. Typically, Sunni Muslims see them as that successor. Okay, so you have a man named Abu Bakr. He was the first caliph, and he was the first to succeed Muhammad. He is followed by Umar, the second caliph, who oversaw the expansion of Islam and appointed a committee of 6 to choose his successor, kind of establishing maybe a little bit of an authority as far as how they're going to kind of determine where the faith is going to be going. After him, you have Uthman, who was the third caliph. He was a member of the Umayyad clan and was instrumental in the publication and distribution of the Quran. And then finally, our fourth caliph is a man named Ali, and he happened to be a descendant or a cousin of Muhammad. The vision of Islam, Sunni Muslims and Shia Muslims share some fundamental beliefs and practices, but they're divided about who gets to lead Muslims, and there's a reason for this. So Sunnis make up the majority of Muslims, and they accept the rule of the Umayyads, and they supported the caliphate and called for the leaders to be caliphs. Sharia or Islamic law is also the duty of a caliph. When you talk about the Shias, they remain loyal to Ali and his family. And because he has that direct descendancy back to Muhammad, obviously they see themselves as being legitimate followers or the legitimate successors. So they support the imamate and call their leaders imams. These are prayer leaders that are at the mosque. Authority is to be passed on to certain descendants of Ali. So, in other words, they're keeping it in the family. When we look at the distribution around the world, typically Sunni Muslims do make up the majority. Parts of North Africa, a good portion of the Middle East, a little bit of Southeast Asia. When you talk about it in terms of the Middle East, depends on where you're at. If you're in a country like Iran, Shias make up the majority, but if you look at the surrounding neighbors, Turkey for the most part, you have a majority that are Sunni. When you look at Syria, when you look at places like Kuwait, again, primarily Sunni, but a country like Iraq, it kind of varies a little bit. And maybe that's the reason why we've had some political instability here over the years. So, the chronology of the division kind of goes like this. When we go back and we look at our caliphs, Uthman was assassinated. And so he is our third caliph. And so Ali succeeds him as a caliph. Okay, well, Uthman's cousin, a man named Muawiyah, proclaimed himself to be the caliph. Okay, and following a series of battles, uh, there is going to be some negotiation, and we have an arbitrator who is going to try to find peace between the two parties here, and he rules in favor of uh, Mimaya, and obviously some of his followers get really kind of excited, and they go out and assassinate Ali. So this is where this division lies. It has a lot to do with warfare, but when Ali's son makes a claim to claim his leadership, he and his family are also massacred. Shia Muslims see Hussein, who as a martyr, this would be Ali's son, and they remain loyal to his family. The Sunni majority, they accept the rule of the Umayyads, and Sunnis support the caliphate and call their leaders caliphs. Whereas the Shias, they support the imamates and call their leaders imams. So, some of the different centers of Islam when we talk about cities throughout the world. Medina, which is in Saudi Arabia, this is the second most important city of Islam. It's kind of called the uh, uh, illuminated city because of the fact that that's kind of where people kind of saw the light as far as what Muhammad was saying. You have Kufa, which is in Iraq. It's founded by Umar, the second caliph. Muslims here supported, or were the first to support Ali, and hence it's very important to the Shias. Damascus, this is the capital of the Umayyads Caliphate, and it's considered to be the first Islamic caliphate. And there's an image of that. And finally, we have Baghdad, Iraq, the capital of the Abbasid Caliphate. So, history as far as Muslim scholarship. Muslims, for the most part, they try to reconcile reason and faith, and this led to a lot of advancements in areas like chemistry and math and philosophy, astronomy, literature, geography, engineering, medicine, you name it. Here in the Western Hemisphere, I want to talk a little bit about the Nation of Islam, which is kind of what some Americans are probably more familiar with when we talk about the Islamic faith. The founder of this was a man named W.D. Fard Muhammad. He was an African American who spoke against Christianity as being the white man's religion. And he called for an establishment of a separate African American homeland. Some of these ideas were happening kind of at the end of the 19th century into the beginning of the 20th century. And if you remember your American history, this was kind of the height of the Jim Crow era. Okay, he was followed by a guy named Elijah Muhammad, and he continued Fard's message. when he succeeded him, and he expanded the Nation of Islam to other communities. For the most part, um, the Nation of Islam kind of starts primarily in urban areas and then kind of expands to other cities throughout the United States. Probably one of the more famous faces within the Nation of Islam is Malcolm X. He was a leader in New York City. He challenged Elijah Muhammad's leadership at one point in time, and his message of Elijah Muhammad, as far as like being a separatist and all this. Needless to say, Malcolm had gone to um, to do his pilgrimage or Hajj uh, to Saudi Arabia, and he came back from Mecca, and he was kind of a changed man. Kind of saw Islam maybe in a different light, and kind of preached the idea of harmony. And this obviously did not sit well with Elijah Muhammad and his followers. And eventually, Malcolm is assassinated in 1965. Following Elijah Muhammad, eventually we have Wafdin Muhammad. This was Elijah Muhammad's son, who succeeded in bringing most of the Nation of Islam into union with Sunni Islam. Um, so in a way, he might have differed from his father in that regard. And finally, we have Louis Farrakhan, who is kind of more the modern day leader of the Nation of Islam. He opposed the move to integrate the ideology of Wafdin Muhammad, and kind of was holding more true to that message of Elijah Muhammad as far as separatism and such. But Farrakhan is still around to this day. All right. Thank you very much.